So here's my question. What happens if you live in a town that has a church that gets deconsecrated and it's turned into an Indian temple?
You move on with your life?
Go to another church.
Cry.
Become an Indian.
You accept that it's now an Indian temple?
Well, what happened to the Methodist church in Strongsville was they sold the building because they wanted to build a new church. And an Indian congregation bought the building and then consecrated it as an Indian temple. But before they could do that, the Methodists actually went through a deconsecration ceremony.
Wait, where is it at?
Old rec center is now a church.
Is that the thing with the big U on it?
Yeah, it used to be a Protestant denomination, Methodist church.
Okay.
And now the Methodist church is over off of Webster. They built a new place. So it's the same kind of thing. What if they took that church and turned it into a bar? So the analogy that this guy's making in his essay
It's not about where it's at, it's about what's coming through it.
I think it'll be funny that you're doing like sin in the same place and you need to like repent. That's so funny.
That would be what we would call irony. If you're doing sin in a place where you would otherwise repent for that sin.
I was drinking beer at sin. I think only
No, it's not drinking it, it's getting wasted, I think. I would know.
Well, I mean, back in the day, all they had was wine, like in Jesus' day. So.
What's the things you do when you
Drink.
or the people?
It's protecting you, right?
Someone channel that.
Like, it says in the Bible.
Lauren was trying to tell us that Jesus Sandals had good arch support yesterday. It was hilarious.
She has to. She always says something.
I think that, hey, if we were going to take this back to class, Alex, wait a minute. Alex, that might be a good point, but I can't hear it. Did you say it loud?
What that it says in the Bible that you're supposed to be sober. You're not supposed to be.
Well, and you're not supposed to live to excess, which kind of goes back to Puritan times when we talked about the Puritans and what their belief was, that they felt like you should live in moderation, that you should honor the body as a holy vessel. But interestingly enough, remember we also talking about how when the colonists came over from Europe, they didn't bring water with them, they brought beer because they couldn't count on the water staying fresh the whole trip. But low alcohol beer would be healthier for them to drink on the trip. Some people have theorized that the reason that they landed where they landed up here is because they ran out of beer. They were going to settle down here, but they ran out of beer. Then I'm sure we'll brew some more. But I think you're right. It's not drinking beer. It's what happens after you drink a whole bunch of beer.
Yeah, I don't think it's just saying okay, don't think I'm.
Alex, this is a response from this side of the room.
It's like don't think I'm bad or nothing like that. Or like I've done it, but I don't think it was.
But you know people who.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I don't think it's a problem getting wasted. It's a difference between getting drunk and going to sleep. But when you get drunk and then you do certain things, then that's when the sin comes in.
Well, that's what they're saying. They're trying to protect you from doing those bad things, because if you do put yourself under the influence of something else, then they're saying that may lead to those sins of what you're talking about. So that's why you shouldn't do it in the first place, because at some point it will eventually lead to a mistake.
Well, in particular with the Methodists tend to be. The Methodists are temperate. They don't use wine for communion. They just use grape juice. So it would be particularly ironic if the Methodist church became a bar, because that's probably the antithesis of what Methodism was about. But can you use that as an analogy to go back to Pirsig's saying about an education and university and whether a place, because it was really, the argument was really not about, I don't know whether what's the equivalent of drinking too much in a university?
Studying.
Studying too much? I don't know if that analogy works.
Well, you're both. I don't know.
Drinking
I think if you like study too much, then you get really. I never like study so much. You just feel like retarded after.
At least we got that one on video.
I know.
Yeah, that's Priceless.
Alex, no. I'm trying.
Clearly, your way of studying is not the right way.
Just don't study.
Is that what happened during Sledgehammer?
1984. Well, I think
We should take that.
to get back to the article, he was trying to talk about whether a church or a university or just the building. Maybe Caitlin, can you make some clarity out of
I'm
this?
just looking at this. I don't think it's about like an access to something or anything. It's just about like it doesn't matter where something is, or it just matters like what they're teaching, and that's kind of like where the church of reason, I guess, comes from. Where like he was just going on this like journey, and he realized it didn't matter if he's like in a university or anything. He could still like be a teacher and still like think in a like philosophical way.
Well, he lost his job because the university lost its accreditation. I guess I didn't say that part. So because they lost their accreditation, they had to lay people off. And that's why he lost his job. And so he's saying, well, why wouldn't they still need me as a professor, whether they're accredited or not? Okay. Somebody else going to add something?
It's the idea behind anything, basically. I mean, it's the principal belief behind, like, we call it a church. It's just a place of assembly. I mean, we are all thinking our own thoughts about what's going on. That's just the place we're doing it at. I mean, it's not where it's at, per se. You could go have a religious at the mall or at a rec center or anywhere. It's you're having a religious service. It's not like it has to be in a church or anything.
So conversely, could we do the same thing with school? Could we do this? Why couldn't we be meeting in the church right now? The church is empty. We could go over there. In fact, they're taking an AP test in the library. Why don't we just meet in the library every day?
I see what you're saying.
You know, I mean, and I think we could. The reason that we all come together in the same place has other justifications, probably, because it's convenient. We can share resources. It's because we need to keep track of everybody's credits and attendance and all that other kind of stuff. But if we were just purely in it for the
Knowledge.
Never gonna happen.
We're
right.
not, but that's communism.
Well, did you guys read or see it on YouTube? I guess you would have seen it electronically someplace. Yesterday at lunch I was watching a Wall Street Journal YouTube video about how Harvard and MIT are now offering so many of their courses online for free. Harvard and MIT. And they'll send you a certificate of completion if you take those courses. The only thing you don't get is credit. It doesn't show up on an official transcript. So if you're just in it for knowledge, Harvard and MIT are putting it out there for free. And then that always takes me back to my friend George, whose kid didn't take the OGT, so he never officially graduated from high school. He got a certificate of attendance. His dad's the principal, and he walked across the stage and handed him a certificate of completion, but he didn't take the OGT. So as far as the state of Ohio is concerned, he doesn't have a diploma. So when he was applying to colleges, part of his letter of inquiry was, you need to understand I don't have an official high school diploma, but I've done some of these other things and I have a portfolio of experiences and academic accomplishments that I can show you. And so he got into college.
Why didn't he take those?
Because he felt that standardized testing wasn't a good measure of a person's either intelligence or potential.
I agree.
How do you get into college without taking the ACT or SAT?
He chose colleges that
Don't care.
had other criteria.
Is that John Wallace?
No, it's Robert Pirsig's motorcycle. Is that in the Army motorcycle maintenance?
How about you videotape yourself?
I just bought that a couple months ago. Because of you.
Seriously?
Swear to God. Swear to God.
I have a loaner copy.
I heard somebody mention it.
You heard somebody mention it in what context?
It's getting crazy.
I was at a conference and I heard somebody talk about the book, so I bought it.
Well, we were just talking about the Church of Reason excerpt,
Okay.
where the guy who wrote the book lost his job because his college lost its accreditation.
This is my second handout I've gotten from Alexi today. This is
Up with all these handouts.
lucky day.
So he creates an analogy about
It's
the
your
church.
lucky day.
Oh my god.
What did you say?
It's your lackey day.
We could get that on a t-shirt.
Retirement t-shirt.
Legendary. Has anyone ever thought of that? Really?
Yeah, but do you think the camera would not remember?
Never ever.
How many gigs is it?
Here, stop it and send it to me so we'll have it forever.
Are you guys getting retirement t-shirts or something?
I think we're done here. Bye.